I think I have been overthinking teaching science in my homeschool for way too long, so I ditched my science curriculum altogether. Hi, I'm Jenny with Kids Learning for Life. Stacey and I were just having a conversation about how science can feel like, even for people who enjoy teaching science, like kind of a difficult subject to teach. But why is this? Science should come naturally to kids because they're just naturally inquisitive. They ask questions all day long and they interact with the world in such an experimental way. Why would it be hard to teach a subject that kids respond so well to? Maybe it's because the curriculum gets in the way. In the past, I have used all sorts of different science curriculums. You can go back and watch all of my curriculum update videos because you'll see the ones that I've gone through. Even though they all had completely different approaches to how to teach science, none of them worked at all. They all felt really forced to me, and I just ended up dreading doing these science lessons and then just kind of stopping doing them altogether. Comment below if you have ever avoided a curriculum by just not teaching a subject. No big deal. However, more recently, I have decided to just not use a science curriculum at all, and I'm not even shopping for a new one. And really quick, I want to make it clear that I didn't necessarily stop using science curriculum altogether because all of these curriculums were bad. One of them I used, which was by BJU Press, was actually pretty cool, but I still felt like it didn't feel right to teach science from a textbook. The way that I'm teaching science now in my homeschool is much more organic and child-led. And these are words that do not really describe the rest of my homeschool. Like, typically in our homeschool, I kind of have the day already planned out. We create good habits. We do school right after breakfast. So my kids don't really have a lot of say as to when or how or what they are learning on a daily basis. But with science, I'm kind of just letting us go with the flow, which has been really fun. For example, we've been doing a lot of nature study lately, especially since the weather has been just beautiful. I even bought some nature study journals for my kids, but they don't even use them. They kind of just gravitate towards just using their blank notebooks. We just go outside together in nature and just observe what we see around us. It's really that simple when it comes to nature study. I like how casual nature study is because it's not really the time to answer questions by the book. It's not the time to pull out your phone and Google things. It's not the time to refer to nature textbooks necessarily. It's kind of just the time to sit around and wonder and observe and kind of question things, and then, later on you can go and find the answers. But in the moment of being in nature study, you're just supposed to be in the moment and just observing what's around you. We also do watch the occasional nature show or documentary. One of our family favorites is the incredible Dr. Pol. This is a rural veterinarian in Michigan who deals with a lot of farm animals, and that's kind of what we do in our life. So it kind of applies to real life, but we also see all these veterinary cases that we wouldn't necessarily experience in real life. I have seen my kids learn so many different veterinary skills from this show. It's really incredible because Dr. Pol is incredible, and it's just a fun watch, and I just know that they're learning a lot from it. Another couple of examples of similar type of shows that they do really enjoy are Secrets of the Zoo, which does kind of similar stuff to Dr. Pol, but this is more about endangered species or animals in a captivity type setting. And then also The Dog Whisperer, which teaches how pack animals communicate with each other and to humans. A great science resource that we have found right here on YouTube is Homeschool Science Club. For me personally, I kind of hate setting up science experiments, so with Homeschool Science Club, you can see John and his kids do these experiments for you. You can also set them up yourself at home and kind of do them along with the video. So those are two options on how you can use this channel in your homeschool. They even have free worksheets that go along with their videos on their website, so this can actually kind of become a curriculum in itself. So you can kind of go in depth as much or as little as you want with Homeschool Science Club, but it's a great resource regardless of how you use it. I guess the closest thing to actual curriculum that we use in our homeschool for science is Mystery Science. We only use this sporadically, and we kind of just pick and choose which topic we want to do at a time. With Mystery Science, it is video-based on a website, and they do provide activities and worksheets that you do alongside the videos. Half the time we don't even do these activities or worksheets. We just kind of watch the videos as if it were just a video on YouTube or a nature documentary. And this seems to be really enjoyable to the kids. I think that Mystery Science covers a lot of really fun topics that are not boring or dry or unnecessary. So Mystery Science is definitely a good resource if you just want something casual for science for your homeschool. Now that I've kind of listed everything we are using for science, it seems like I've kind of gravitated towards video-based resources, which is actually totally fine with me. We do all sorts of stuff with animals on our property. We do like gardening things. There's work on our property we're doing that are science related. So I'm not worried about them, watching some videos every now and then for science, as long as we're also doing a ton of hands-on things outside at our house that are science related as well. Now, while I don't think science should necessarily be taught from textbooks or workbooks, we do have some science books on hand, but these are just kind of like for reference and we don't really use them very often. We use Home Geography, which has really simple lessons, really short chapters, and it's just a beautiful book that I recommend to everyone if they just need something simple for science. And some of those reference books that I was mentioning are like the Eyewitness series. My kids just love flipping through these and looking at all the different pictures of things. They're not necessarily reading the information, but I mean, the pictures in these are so cool, and I grew up with Eyewitness books, so that's another thing that we really enjoy. And then obviously, like, having farm animals, we have tons of like farm animal books, and my kids actually really like flipping through those because they do actually apply to our lives. So those are just like some examples of the science books we have on hand that are not there to teach lessons, but they are there for us to refer to. Since I have freed myself from the concept of like having to have a science curriculum, I feel like a huge weight has been lifted from my chest. I don't have to fill any gaps in my homeschool because there are no gaps to fill. We do so much science naturally in our everyday lives that I don't need a textbook or workbooks to teach science. So here's my word of encouragement to you. I am 100% positive that if you opened your mind to the idea, you would notice that science just naturally comes up in everyday life while raising kids. And this happens whether you are doing a formal lesson teaching them science concepts or not. So don't be afraid to ditch the science curriculum, even if it's just temporarily, just to regroup, and go from there. Feel free to check out my recent video on nature study. This is where I go more in depth on how we as a family do nature study together, so that will be linked right over here. See you next time, and happy homeschooling!